Hello, Nova Nation. It's WXVU Sports Director David Szczepanski, and it is time for your Villanova football keys to the game in the second round of the FCS playoffs. As your Villanova Wildcats, the number 11 seed in the FCS playoffs, get ready to take on the number 6 seed in the Incarnate Word Cardinals. Should be a fun one from San Antonio, Texas, today at 2 p.m. Let's start my first key to the game, and it is the rushing attack for Villanova. As I talked about in my preview video, you can find that video if you haven't seen it yet on my social media, as well as my YouTube. It's going to rain today in San Antonio, so temperature is going to be in the low to mid 50s. There should be a good amount of rain around kickoff, so that should favor Villanova in the rushing attack and really going to work in the ground game. As I talked about in my preview video, Incarnate Word is such a good passing team with Zach Calzada that I still think they're going to throw the football a lot, but you know, I think it's going to be a lot more depending on the running backs for both teams. And even though I think Incarnate Word's rushing attack had a pretty good season, right, 18 rushing touchdowns, Declan Taylor leads the way with 9 rushing touchdowns. I really think that David Abbott, Isaiah Ragland, and Jabril Mace, they're going to be ready for this big test in San Antonio. And so the rushing attack is going to be my main key, right? And they have to be consistent throughout the whole game, right? We've seen a lot over the past few weeks. The Villanova's rushing attack has had really kind of one good half and one pretty bad half, right? Last week in the game against EKU in the first round of the FCS playoffs at Villanova State, and the Wildcats had just 22 rushing yards in the first half, but then in the second half they had around 110, 115 rushing yards. So you just want to see that more balanced, more consistent, and hopefully David Abbott can have a really good game and get the ground game going for Villanova. So that is my first key to the game. My second key to the game for the Wildcats is to limit their turnovers. And, you know, last week they gave up 4 turnovers, they committed 4 turnovers against EKU, and as Coach Ferrante said in his post-game press conference, you don't win many games, especially in the playoffs, where you commit 4 turnovers. And Villanova was very lucky. They survived that last-second pass attempt from Morrissey to Jackson House in the end zone, and luckily House was not standing in the green part of the end zone. He was out of bounds, and Villanova was able to advance. But 4 turnovers was a lot for the Wildcats, and especially against a team that has a really good offense, much better than Eastern Kentucky in Incarnate Word. They're averaging 37 points per game. You cannot give them second chances and constant chances with the football, so you have to limit those turnovers. That is my second key to the game. And really, you know, you would love to win the turnover battle, especially on the road where Villanova struggled this season compared to at home, right? They won 16 consecutive games at Villanova Stadium dating back to 2022. This game is on the road in San Antonio. You don't necessarily have to win the turnover battle. I mean, I think that's definitely the goal, but at least keep it close within 1. I mean, you don't want to give up 4 turnovers and the other team give up 1 or 0. So the Wildcats have to take care of the football and limit the turnovers. My third key to the game is defense, and I've said this the past couple weeks, but Villanova, that is their recipe to success. That is how they win games. It's their defense that has really stepped up for them all season, as Coach Ferrante said earlier this week in his CA weekly press conference. Villanova's defense has to be ready to go. They've struggled against very good passing attacks this season. When you look at Monmouth's passing attack, of course, Maryland and FBS play, but also Maine had some success against them in the passing game. So Villanova has to be ready. This Incarnate Word team with Zach Calzada, they'll average almost 300 passing yards per game, around 280 in the high 270s. So Villanova's defense has to be ready. And for me, I think it's about limiting one aspect of their offense, right? You know, if you're able to find a way to limit the rushing attack or limit the passing attack, ideally you would like to find a way to put a lot of pressure on Calzada and force him to make some bad throws, and then maybe Incarnate Word gets a little bit nervous. They had the bye week last week, and maybe they start to go to running the football, which I think is probably the best way for Villanova to win, is if they force a lot of pressure on Calzada and make Incarnate Word run the football more than they would like to, especially with such a great passing game and passing attack led by Zach Calzada. So really find a way to limit one aspect of their offense, because it's such a dynamic offense. We've seen Villanova, especially on road games this season, struggle against multi-dimensional offenses. The Wildcats are not favored to win this game. They're actually underdogs by about 10 points, 10, 11 points, depending on where you look. I think the Wildcats do have a serious chance, though, to win this game. I think that they have to play a really clean game of football, probably the best game of football they've played all season in order to beat Incarnate Word. But Incarnate Word, as I said in my preview, has played in a pretty weak conference this season. Yes, they were 7-0 in conference play, but I still think there's a chance that, you know, they're going to have to shake off some rust after the bye week, and, you know, maybe they really haven't played as talented of an opponent or haven't really, you know, been able to get ready for this game properly, and Villanova is a very talented opponent, so maybe they'll catch them off guard, and I think the rain does help Villanova if that forecast does stand to be true. But those are my 3 keys to the game. Again, number 1, the rushing attack, David Abbott, be consistent, right? My second key to the game is to limit turnovers, and my third key to the game for the Wildcats is to find a way to stop one aspect of this multi-dimensional, high-powered, explosive offense led by Zach Calzada, the quarterback transfer from Texas A&M and Auburn. He's been great in the FCS this year for the number 6 Incarnate Word Cardinals. Thank you so much, everybody. Those are my 3 keys to the game for a Villanova victory. Again, the Wildcats taking on the Incarnate Word Cardinals at 2 p.m. today in the second round of the FCS playoffs. Unfortunately, no WXVU coverage, but I will have coverage here on my social media. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. And as always, go Cats!